John chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. This is my commandment. Jesus spoke about words, keeping his words, and about being in him, abiding in him, loving him. He's speaking of these things, right? So in that context comes this commandment. A commandment is that we love one another. We've spoken about this earlier as well. The world will know that we are his disciples, we love one another. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that again. Yes, this is again the commandment he's giving. He's repeating himself. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to love one another as I've loved you. How did he love us? By teaching the truth, not half truths, not half baked truths, okay, not empty words, not what they wanted to hear, the truth. Secondly, by living the truth, by dying, right? These things Jesus did. So he clearly showed us an example of what we suppose what love is. This is why he says in verse 30, greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. Yes, it's going to be even in a certain sense clarified more by Paul in Romans. It's not contradictory, it's not whatever. There's a different theme, different context. Here's a different context, okay? Because he's speaking here now of love, and he's speaking of, and he's going to call them his friends, right? He's not speaking in general of every human being at the moment. He's speaking to this group of disciples, calling him his friends. Therefore, he's speaking that he is dying for them. But ultimately, he's not just dying for him, but for the world as well. Okay, it will still come. But I mean, John 3:16, God loved the world and he gave his only son, right? So this is just, I'm just trying to explain why he is speaking not a little differently in the sense than Paul is going to speak about, because they're told that we were his enemies, you know, when he died. So here is just saying for his friends. Why? Because in a sense, dying for enemies is a lot worse than, you know, dying for your friends. Your friends are like, you know, people kind of die for friends, right? But that's a great love. Understand? There's no greater love than that. But remember, Jesus' love is a lot bigger because he died for us while we yet his enemies, which people don't do. Okay, so this is just what Jesus is saying, that there's no greater love than this. They're his friends. He's dying. He's going to die for them. He's going to lay down his life. I mean, he just spoke about joy and all that and stuff like that. Now he's speaking of death again. Man, you know, can't you like make up your mind? You want us to be joyful or you want us to cry? Verse 14. You are my friends if you do what I command you. You are my friends if you do what I command you. What did I command you just now? To love one another, right? Then you are my friends. If you abide in me, you'll bear fruit. Then you are my friends, right? So if you're truly mine, you will abide, you will bear fruit, you bear fruit, you are mine, you, Father loves you, you love, I mean, that's the whole idea of what he's been teaching concerning be that I am the vine and my Father is the vine dresser, right? It is so clear. So again, he's saying the same thing where before he used the example of the vine and him being the vine and the Father the vine dresser. He is now using it just as on the level of their friends. Your friends, they abide in him, right? I mean, you do what he commands them to do. They do what he commands them to do. Verse 15. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. For all that I've heard from you, from my Father, I've made known to you. Now, again, Jesus is saying, okay, now you guys are not, you're now just friends. Because we are now, in a sense, we're brothers of Christ, and being a brother is a lot closer than being a friend. Although, you know, honestly, in Russia, I think I have some of our Russians are closer as friends to me, or than my brother is to me my real brother is to me. It's because that's a Russian kind of thing, right? I mean, it's just in Russia as well. Okay? Friends are really truly friends, and you can more often than not be a lot closer to a friend in Russia than you can be to your own brother. Because lots of brothers don't live together, or they live far apart from each other. It can be so big, and then your friends become your family, and so therefore it's so important. And being able to trust, and the whole political and Soviet Union, all of those kinds of things plays into it. And that's a different cultural question. Okay, so Jesus is not here. I mean, like, so friends, brothers. It's not because he's speaking here in this now about friends. He's not speaking now about that. So he's not addressing that topic. So you can't take that topic of being brothers and friends. Are they friends or are you brothers? Kind of, and because Jesus, like, kind of saying, oh, you know, you're not calling, because he's speaking of friendship now at this moment. He's speaking of love, giving your life for a friend, right? And therefore he's speaking like this and using those words to make it all coherent. Unlike you think, but you might think my teaching is sometimes. So Jesus now saying, I'm not just calling. He said earlier, you know, my servant, my servant not greater than master. Now he's saying, they're growing in their understanding, so they need to grow in their stature as well. Okay, now they did not understand at that stage, it will only come on later, but then, when they come, then they would understand that now they're growing in the stature. Like I said earlier in the chapter, you pruned, they're pruning, he's pruning them now, right? Like calling them, like uplifting them in the status. Okay, not servants anymore, they're uplifted to friends now. Okay, and ultimately will be uplifted to two brothers. Why? Because he has told them everything that he heard from his father. He's made all of this known to them. Everything is heard from the Father is made known. He hasn't kept any back. Okay? Again, it's so important. Don't keep back truths on your people.